Hello, welcome friends to my channel. This is the Oracle Database Performance Part 6, and in this we will review the following feature, which is Optimizer Adaptive Statistics, Gather Plan Statistics, DBMS underscore explain dot display underscore cursor, v dollar SQL, DBA SQL plan directives, DBMS stats gather table stats, user stat extension. Okay, so optimizer adaptive statics is a parameter. When it is enabled true, then it helps the optimizer to choose the better explain plan by combining all the performance tuning features available in the database. Gather plan stats is a package which is used to gather the stats of the object when it is modified. For an example, if I create an index on the where clause column for a SQL query or in a table, and I enable the gather plan stats for that particular table, the next time my optimizer will choose a better execution plan based on low cost. DBMS underscore explain dot display underscore cursor will display me the explain plan of a SQL query which has just got executed and it's currently present in the memory. v$SQL file contains the information about child cursor and its parent cursor details are in v$SQL area. DBA SQL plan directives. This is a part of a SQL plan management. So this particular package, this particular table tells whether the plan is in accepted or not accepted mode. DBMS underscore stats gather table stats is used for gathering the stats of the table. User stat extensions. This table contains that whether the extended stats has been captured for the table or not. And when I say an extended stats, it means that, let's say in a where clause I have a two column. Based on that, filtering is happening in order to get the result returned. I create an index on combining those two tables in the by using the dbms underscore stats package, and that particular information would be available under user underscore stat underscore extension. Okay, so now let's to get into the demo environment here. Okay, so before I start, let me show my environment details. So my database name is this is the timestamp right now we are in when this recording is happening. Okay, and this is my way of checking the fast track in a sense. Okay, so these are my table space, and demo data is of 2 gig, and rest is like default system sysaux undo tab users temp. These are default table spaces. I'm not using the ASM, and my character set is AL32 UTF-8. Select a user name comma created from DBA users where username is equal to demo. So you see, I created on 31st of August 2020 demo user, and I have granted a DBA privilege to it because the objective is not to drill around the privilege and the permissions while showing a demo. So demo has a DBA privilege. Okay, so the first thing is like we will see whether this parameter is enabled or not. Okay, so it is set to be false. What does this mean? That optimizer is not allowed to combine the different performance features in order to combine the result from the different performance features in order to generate an adaptive plan. So basically, optimizer is not allowed to use an adaptive stats by combining all the other performance features available in the Oracle database, just like a SQL plan directories, SQL Access Advisor, and so on. So we have to make it true. So we do it auto system set optimizer statistics is equal to true, and scope is equal to both. So this will enable. Okay, I think this, let me see, true. Okay, so this got altered. Let me see whether it's showing true or not for this particular connected station. So which is true right now here. Now let's try to connect to demo user, and yeah, so this is true for this particular session itself. Now we are going to create a table. Okay, and okay, so what we are trying to do it, we are going to create a table test underscore spd as select mode row num comma 2 a, mode row num comma 2 b, and dual connect by level. So basically what we are doing, we are populating the table for 1 million rows, and we are defining the column as a, b, c and d in this test underscore spd table, and we are truncating it to the two values. Okay, let's see how it goes. Okay, let me try to describe this test underscore pd table. Okay, so that's I say we got a full column. Let me see the total value here from, so we have like 1 million rows, correct? Now so what we are going to do, we're going to identify the distinct values for the columns A, B, C, D. So we can do select distinct A from test spd, which is 1 and 0. Same for distinct B from test pd, which is 1 and 0, and then again select distinct C from, this is 1 and 0, and select distinct D from. Okay, so basically all these columns has A, 1 and 0 are the distinct values. Okay, now we see that okay, so I'm going to run this query that gather plan statistics. I'm using a hint from test where A is equal to 0, B is equal to 0, and actually I'm going to run this condition, and let's see how many rows gets returned. Okay, and I'm giving a hint to gather the stats. Okay, so if you see here, we just returned 50,000 rows. Okay, we will gather the explain plan, and we'll see what is the estimated number of the rows which the optimizer obtain. Okay, so we're going to run like this, and I'm going to explain you what's happening here. So we are going to run select extract from table dbms underscore explain plan dot display. So this is the package which generates the explain plan. Display underscore cursor, that it will take all the details from the memory, and these are the 4 options. In first 2 I'm putting the null, and the last actually 3 options, and I need all stats. So when I run this, it will automatically pick the last query from the session. So we can't use this without specifying a SQL ID if there is, if I'm not the one who is executing in my session and there are many queries are happening. Okay, so if you see here, we returned 50,000 rows and the estimate was 6250, but the actual row was 50,000. So the optimizer before executing estimated that if I go with this value where I'm going to access test underscore spd in a table access full mode, I would be returning 6,250 rows, but when it actual happened, it returned 50,000 rows. Okay, so that's what it is here. Okay, now we need to see that if this query is a candidate for re-optimization. Can we? Okay, so we just query to $SQL area, and it says that yes, it is. So what does it mean? That we can still work on this query and get the difference between estimated rows and actual rows, to be bit less so that we can get it optimized. Okay, now let's run this query once again. Okay, which is select plus gather plan stats from test underscore spd where a is equal to 0, b is equal to 0. So basically we are just giving the conditions where all these conditions are 0, and we are trying to return 50,000 rows where the conditions are getting certified. Okay, so we are just returning this rows. Okay, now let's run this explain plan again, and what we see that then this time when it runs the second time, the estimated number of the rows changed to 50,000 compared to the actual rows, because we already had one run before it, and this time Oracle captured the stats from stats, which is like actual number of rows, and this happened because we are gathering the plan stats and our adaptive feature optimizer adaptive statistics is true. So what does this mean? It means like on time t is equal to 0, when we run this query for the first time based on the last stats gathered in the table, let's say in the night, Oracle thought that okay, there is only 6,250 rows that needs to be returned, but in actuality 50,000 rows were returned. Now when this feature was enabled, the next time we ran, and basically we also checked before running to the $SQL where we have the parent and the child details, and there is a column which says is underscore re-optimizable, and it is marked as yes. Okay, so yes, so basically once we ran the query and we see there is a discrepancy between an estimated row and an actual row, the same got logged into a $SQL table, and then from there, before again rerunning the query, we identified that this particular is a candidate for re-optimizer, and optimizer knows it, and that's why it marks for Y. So now when we ran the same query again, this time estimated rows and the actual rows returned same. Okay, now let's see flush any SQL directory from memory to disk. This will automatically done every hour. Okay, let's see what this query is doing. So it is select directive ID, type, state, reason, created, last modified, last used from the DBA SQL plan directory where directive ID in. Okay, select directory ID from DBA SQL plan where owner is DBA and order by created. Okay, so basically what it is trying to do is, okay, so I'll explain it up. Set lines is equal to 1000, pages is equal to this. Okay, okay, so it just in the SQL plan directory optimizer put an entry that there was a cardinality misestimate when the estimated row and the actual row, there was a difference by 50,000 minus 6250, and this falls under dynamic underscore sampling. Okay, so optimizer put the entry in two tables. One is in the $SQL for an instant view for an end user that okay, this query is a candidate for optimization because there is a difference in the estimated row and actual row. And it also put an entry in the DBA SQL plan directory that why it is a candidate for re-optimizable, and which says that there was a cardinality mismatch, and which is what we told, like estimated row versus an actual row. Okay, now we can flush this information to the disk from the memory by running this plan. Okay, so when we run execute dbms underscore spd dot flush SQL file. So it ran everything from the memory to disk. And that's what I was saying, like, that note that a directory has been created using a dynamic underscore sampling, and the reason being because there was an initial cardinality misestimate. Okay, so let's run this query again and see. Yeah, let me copy from here and let me clear it up. Okay, so this is still there, but now it has been flushed to the disk. Okay, let's run this query again and we'll find that the stored SQL directory has been used in this case. Okay, so we are again going to run this same query, which is like this, and it will return 50,000 rows, and then we are going to generate an explain plan here to see what it does. So you see estimated rows and actual rows, and it has a note here, dynamic statistics used, which is from this here gather plan statistics labels to one SQL plan directive used for this statement. So if I go back here in the earlier, okay, will not go, it's like 50,000 scrolling. So since we flushed from the memory to the disk, this directory has been used. Okay, now, okay, so this time we just modified the same query by putting the count asterisk. So we are not going to display the rows, we'll just take the count of it with the same thing, and let's see. So we got this, and now let's run this explain plan again to see. Okay, so the SQL plan directory has again been used with the same explain plan. Okay, and if we run this query, select, so use the stat extension because there is nothing. So basically what does it mean, that if we create a stats on these all columns, which is the part of the where clause, at the same time, these details will be here in the user stat extension. So it says the SQL directory will also contain a directive to gather column, group, or extended statistics for this query as a part of the next statistics gathering because of the way the column have been used in the join condition in the query. Okay, so we are going to execute the stats here, and we executed dvms stats, gather table stat, test, and pd. Okay, and now when I run this user stats connections, we see the stats has been captured. Okay, but when I run the query right now here, I think it's not displaying. Why? Because when we ran this, it just gathered the stats here, but we did not gather exclusive stats on this particular 4 columns, and that's why this is not displaying. Okay, so we can ignore the results here in the Word doc. So okay, so let me revise what we try to do in this demo. Okay, so we were trying to see if how adaptive statistics work in the Oracle. And what is the adaptive statistics? Adaptive statistics is that let at t is equal to 0, the first time the query ran, an optimizer generated an explain plan with a mismatch in the estimated row versus the actual row. Okay, now this is the part 1. Now when my optimizer adaptive statistics is true, the next time, okay, so it ran. Now this, when it ran, Oracle realized that this particular query is not optimizable, is the execution plan of this particular query based on the estimated number of the rows is not optimized. So it put an entry is underscore reoptimizable in $SQL. Okay, and it also put an entry in the SQL underscore plan underscore directive db underscore SQL underscore plan underscore directives table that what is the reason for this to be reoptimizable, and the reason will be put like this, that it's a dynamic sampling type and there is a mismatch in the cardinality. Okay, now the next time when the query ran, it estimated rows and the actual rows got matched. So the optimizer generated the better execution plan because its estimated rows and the actual rows is known now. And why this happened? Because we enabled the optimizer underscore adaptive statistics to be true, so that the next time when it run, it adapted to the new stats that got gathered with the use of the hints during the runtime, and then it corrected its estimated rows and the actual rows discrepancies. Okay, so this we covered while we went with this demo. Okay, and the user underscore stat underscore extensions table contains the detail of the stats of the combined columns in the where clause. Okay, so if we do that and if we gather the stats, it will be displayed there, and this is done as to give more better estimate to the optimizer, so the optimizer knows and prepares the better execution plan. Okay, so I think that's all for this demo, and we see you again in the next recording.